We're live. Awesome. Okay, everyone. So welcome. Hope you feel good after your practice. Yes. So I was mild. It was not too crazy, but that was a little bit of what we're going to be doing the next days. Is our Hatha Vinyasa sequence, and then after that gets really easier. In the physical aspect of it, right? Maybe we do more meditation, it can be more challenge for you in that way, but this is when we had all those push-ups. So enjoy that sweat for the next couple of days. So we're going to explore this manual. It's a big one. I actually plan to remove some of the content. I'm like, I'll just leave it there, but the idea is for you to probably be doing some reading every day. You will have an index. What I would recommend for you is to maybe buy those flags and like separate the index. Because sometimes I would say open on philosophy and will take some time doing that. So you will have an index, and that's how we going to navigate the manual. And like I said, if you want to divide the chapters with a little flaggy, might be helpful in the future. You have the intention of the training. You have my biography there again. If you want to read it and see who are my teachers, will also be kind of your teachers. Like, it's called parampara or lineage. And you need to know who are my teachers, because what I'm teaching is coming from my teachers. So when someone asks, what are you learning, then you will know, that it's coming from Shivananda lineage, or my present master is Andre Lapa, and I was initiated in Rajasana Tantra Buddhism with him in Nepal. And so, it's important to know a little bit. But let's move to this course requirements on page 6. Now this is where we're going to, we already talked about this in the interviews when I was talking to you about, what a teacher training will intake. But again, as we move more officially, we got things more seriously, so we just repeat everything. So the first thing that you're going to see there is the daily practice or sadhana. Yeah? So someone was to read that part?
Daily personal yoga practice. You are required to practice yoga every day without exception. The sequences may vary depending on individual circumstances. However, the discipline of daily practice under Victoria's guidance will be distilled and will be a central tenet of this training. The sadhana, or daily spiritual practice, is the foundation to your ability to teach in the future and to embody the practice of every dimension. Practice will consist of asana, pranayama, and meditation. Practice must not be less than 75 minutes daily.
Okay, so this is super important for you to embrace as you move forward in this spiritual path, because it is the most important part that will allow you to go from being a student to teacher, or even committed students will commit to the sadhana. So the sadhana means your self-practice, your daily practice. And sadhana is an offering, right? Like I'm offering prasadam to you, blessed food, like we offer the flowers to the deities, like maybe you offer, to do some service for the poor community, or something that you offer from your heart, is this offering. And that sadhana is an offering to your higher self, to your Atman, or the soul of God, if you wish, which resides inside you. So, everyone on the spiritual path have a sadhana practice. If you cannot embrace the sadhana or really put that in practice in your life, then your spiritual path will be a mess. You go here, you go there, you are not consistent. You drop of it, you come back to it, and that will take much longer for you to find any results, really. So that's why it's called daily, because there's no day offs on the sadhana. So every single day of your life, you should do some sort of sadhana, that self-practice where you connect with that higher self again, residing within your own heart. A moment of reconnection. And because it's an offering, it can be anything that comes from your heart. It doesn't necessarily need to be, an hour and a half of asanas or this and that. So let's talk about how can be this sadhana, right? So if we already practice, today you practice for like 2 hours, very slow. We took a nice shavasana, so it was a 2 hours practice, so good. Yeah, we did prayers, we did breath work, so you're done with that, we can say, right? But if you are traveling, if you have your moon cycle, if you are jet lagged, you didn't sleep, whatever, maybe you will not have that energy to practice an hour and a half. And that might be a violent for your body if you maybe just focus a lot on asanas, for example, right? Maybe that day, instead of doing a lot of physical practice, you can have maybe a shorter asana practice, more breath work, more meditation. Sometimes, your sadhana might be 5 asanas and, just breath work. Maybe instead of doing meditation, you want to read scriptures and do that like part of your offering, like you're going to study the old texts and do your meditation through that. But it's every day a moment, right, when we disconnect and we're trying to work our spiritual body. Of course, that it would be great if you can have all those components, right? If you can have pranayama to tranquilize the mind. The asanas tranquilize the body. Like when you do asanas, your body can be more still, more flexible, more at ease, for us to actually come to this pose, which is actually the most advanced pose, is when you can practice meditation. So the asanas are for that. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. So again, let's say you have, 2 kids and you are preparing the snack in the morning and, you have a 9-to-5 job and, what time? So usually the sadhana is practiced at very early times in the morning. So the best times suggested in the Vedas by our teachers is the Amrita hours. So it's like around 4:30 a.m. when it's like the dusk is between day and night. It's like this is a very sattva with qualities of serenity and purity, and at that time you don't really have a lot of thoughts actually, so it's very quiet. It's not even birds singing. It's like everything is right, and so it's a great time to do your spiritual practices. That is the sujasta time, 4:30 a.m. But let's be realistic, if you have a lot with the kids to sleep, and then beam, boom, bam, the dinner, then it's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you might not be able to wake up at 4, and I've been myself in that situation many times. Even yesterday, we finished up, I'm cleaning here after all the guru left, 10 p.m., it's not going to happen. So, the sadhana is individual. You select the time is good for you. You select the formula that is good for you, what you want to offer that day. Maybe that day you want to have a super strong practice. Maybe another day you just want to really do breath work, meditation, study. Knowledge is the base of enlightenment. If you have ignorance, you're not going to have enlightenment. There's a lot of illusion. So anything can be your sadhana. But those will be early hours would be the time suggested. So like I can do 4:30, maybe you do 6:30, a little later, right? I keep moving them forward. but in the morning is a beautiful time, because it's like the sun is shining, it's a new day. Before you get trapped with all the mundane, modern stress, you already put a note on your day, and you already start, with yourself protected, with your spiritual shield of, your energy, or your prayers. So we can, if you could not divide the sadhana, like again, today, very easy, we did 2 hours. Here, most of the yoga schools with an hour and 15, an hour and a half. That's also because, we need to have a few classes to actually pay the rent, because then we'll have no school. But if you're a yogi or yoga teacher, you really want to give yourself that time to stir the energy. So when I practice with my master, we practice for non-stop 3 hours. And we cannot go to the bathroom throughout the practice unless you're bleeding, of course, that's an exception. And that's another reason that we don't recommend a lot of water before and after, because of course, otherwise you will need to go. But what happens if I stay on the practice for those 3 hours without interruption, right? I'm just in that inner world, you will have an effect. You will have sensations and Kundalini movement, I hope, maybe even visions and things. You miss a whole sequence, by the way. Yeah, you will see later. But yeah, and again, I kind of like replicate a little bit of my teachers have passed to me. And my present teacher is from Ukraine, and he's very tough. He would be, a little rough, a little sometimes. So I'm trying to keep my feminine side open, but yeah, that type of interruption just breaks the whole energetic movement of your practice, really. So if you can do your sadhana all at once, so I will recommend during this time, probably start whatever we practice here. You can go home and maybe practice a little bit. If you will practice an hour, 2 hours, you can say you already did your sadhana. You're not going to go home and do another 2 hours, because then you're going to get exhausted, you're going to get hurt. It's, your body will be like, hey, again, we already did this, right? But when you're not on the training, if you can literally make some life changes in your habits, and literally go to sleep earlier, that's all it takes, and wake up earlier and do the whole thing at once, then it will be more energetic for you, So usually we'll do, some breathing exercises, and then we do asanas to kind of like get the body moving. And after that, we'll do Shavasana, and actually meditation should come after Shavasana, because you're like Zen, right? You come back from Shavasana and it's like you're in that zone, right? And I will even add mantras after that, or even prayers, whatever lineage is your preferred practice. And so, no doubt, it will be like a 2 hour thing, more or less, combine all together. But again, if you have a lot of things going on, you're gonna go to school, this and that. And so you can divide it in 2 parts, right? So in the morning, you can do practice to wake up and move your body, maybe the physical, more the asanas, you get to it really quick, you just sankalpa, your intention, your prayer, you're getting to the mat. And then and then you gotta go to work, and then you gotta go, right? And then when comes the nighttime, then you can maybe do practices to prepare to go to sleep. So maybe at that time, you will do breathing exercise to cool. Maybe you do some, restorative asanas, 2 or 3 legs on the wall, twist on the floor, something very simple, child's pose, right? And then some meditation, and then you go to sleep. So, if you don't have that 2 hours available all together, right? But if you can combine everything, that will be better for you, because the more that you stay on that mat, really into it with focus, without interruption, with concentration, the more that you are going to feel, right? It's like that's how it goes basically. And again, so don't also overthink or criticize yourself. Like, sometimes I think like 2 weeks ago I was doing a retreat in Guatemala. Then I came here 1 week, then I went to Argentina, see my grandpa, then I came back. Then I went to do a retreat in Mexico, now I'm here. And honestly, when I'm like between flights and traveling, that 3 hours, especially if you have a whole family asking you to meet with them, it would be not doable, it is what it is. But again, nothing can stop me to do, again, maybe my sadhana would be half an hour, from 3 hours to half an hour. But I can have my clean consciousness that I had a moment to connect with my higher self, the source within me. And maybe that was it was one sun salutation, some twist, I stretch my hamstring, and I breath work, because pranayama is more advanced than the asanas. And then, okay, thank you for everything, and namaste. And then I'm, all right, I did my, my commitment there. So don't get, like, oh, I didn't have time, well, I don't have time. No, you create the time, and you create the intention and your willingness to commit to that daily practice. So again, it can be 3 hours, it can be half an hour, it can be really early. And usually when I'm doing the teacher training, sometimes I do my sadhana at 1 p.m. just before lunch, because sometimes as I get older, I become a little more lazier. And so, my vitality comes and goes. And maybe at 4 a.m. or even, I wake up very early, and usually I practice at that time, but today I was okay. I went to sleep late yesterday because I was serving the Guru, So, no punishment in the sense like, I'm not trying to be perfect. And remember, it's just a flower from your heart. So, again, just reserve some time every day for your spiritual practice and see, how that works for you. And one day very strong, one day very gentle, one day more for meditation, one day more for your intellect. But again, is the daily thing. Now that the daily is that is the glue for your spiritual platform, for you to grow with it. It's everything. You can read all the books of the world, you can do all the teacher trainings of the world, but if you don't have sadhana, it's just not going to work. And quite frankly, we have a great time during the 30 days here together, but if you don't embrace the sadhana in your life, again, you will have a great time here, but your spiritual path will not grow. So the sadhana is individual for you. It's a commitment with this practice, it's a commitment with the training, it's a commitment with yourself, that every day you're going to dedicate some time for that. And another thing that I should say, notice it's a self-practice. So yes, now we're going to be in a group setting and today we practice together, but as you develop more of this knowledge and you become a teacher, you should also enjoy the taste of practice alone, without anyone. Because when you practice with a group, you always in my clock, right? Stop, continue. Rest, now don't rest. You know, let's see. If you are in another big class, yeah, sometimes, you know, well, we have all kinds of teachers right now, and you know, God forbid they put some hip hop in the class, and you're praying for the humanity, and it's just weird, you know. But when you self-practice and you are by yourself, you are on your own timing. You know, let's say you're in pigeon pose, and all of a sudden you just feel like dropping some tears, right? Let's say you are in child's pose and you have a vision. Maybe you see a color, maybe your chakra is opening, right? And that's awesome. And you should be able to catch that. But that's going to happen more when you're by yourself. It's just what it is, you know? So as you start, as you decided to become a teacher and you start, you know, standing up on that ground of independence of other people, just to, you know, support your path. The idea now is that you're just in autopilot. This is what we do when we become more serious on the path. I wake up and I think to myself, well, thank you for everything. Thank you, angels, things like that. What time should I practice? Should I practice now? Let me see my agenda. Practice later. So I already tell myself, my own teacher, my own guidance, you know, what time should I practice, right? So in the future, of course, it's nice to share with the group, right? And you can come and enjoy that. It's a beautiful energy, especially when you have more yoga friends and you share like we did the other day, you know, everyone, and we got to mingle and make friends. But it's also a distraction sometimes. And teachers are teachers. Teachers will embrace the sadhana very seriously. And so if you want to share with your friend, that's great, but you're not codependent on your friend, you know? But that's phase one of a spiritual path. And when I start, I was also like this. Are we going to yoga tomorrow? We can have a drink just after? You know, mingle with someone, and or they are calling me, hey, let's practice in this new studio, let's try this new teacher. Sure, let's go. That doesn't happen now today. I just wake up and I practice. And if I'm in a rush, because whatever, sometimes we have students here, privates, like also 7 a.m., then I practice later in the day. But I, you know, it's in there. Somehow it's happening, right? And so this is what makes you a teacher. Like you are, you know, and this is a commitment. This is a requirement. This is like something that you are signing up for it, you know? That's self-practice every day. Good? So the Kundalini yogis, for example, they're super serious about their sadhana. You know, they do sadhana every day 4 a.m. You know, no day off. Now the Ashtangis, Ashtanga Vinyasas, they also practice really early. I practice with Pattabhi Jois, the founder of Ashtanga Vinyasa. And I was the second group, so I will wake up. Wake up at 3:30 a.m. to have a chai. They don't have coffee; they have chai. To go to the bathroom, have some time, you know, for that important. I understand. You know, and be clean, you know, purify myself, and then I will enter the shala like at 4:30 or something like that. So I was almost, it was a group of 4 and I was at 4:30. So I was, you know, very much early with the guru. And they don't practice on like full moon days because I was playing late. It's like too energetic day. But again, for example, if the female has a heavy moon cycle, we don't recommend heavy asanas that day because it might just not be energetic, conducive for those days. You know, that's the day the woman is depleted. So we recommend restorative yoga, very yin, very gentle, maybe more reading that day, maybe more breathing, meditation, more tranquil practices. So, you start understanding and respecting your energy levels, but definitely if you want to become a real yogi and an excellent teacher, you just need to incorporate this. I mean, it's no escape. The practice is the practice. And the practice is what's going to make everything make sense. All the theory is worth zero if we don't practice, right? If I talk about what is Kundalini movement, how does it feel having a Kundalini awakening, right? Or what happened with the chakra colors and astral projection, Ravi dance. So many things you can develop with yogic powers, which are literally superpowers. See this, but nothing's going to happen if you don't practice. And if you don't just practice, if you don't do your self-practice, your sadhana, because that's when the magic happens. When you are in someone guidance, you are under their energy. Basically, the teacher is manipulating the energy of the student, no? To have some sensations, effects. But like I said, today we did an easy class, in my opinion. And so if you come to some yoga school and the teacher was drinking alcohol the night before, right? Or doesn't have ethics. You see what I'm saying? So, so many things can affect that movement of the energy. So again, you are more than welcome to share a group, but you need to grind and really feel comfortable and submit on your software that you must do sadhana every day of your life until you die. That's what is going to keep you always super protected, super connected, and of course will make you a wonderful practitioner. So, okay.
I have a question. Do you do a protection of energy of aura of your own?
If you can do it, yes. I mean,
Do you teach that? Is that something you should ask that question? Or is it just like and then it's something that people tune themselves?
no. I teach. I mean, we're going to talk more about that in energetics. But basically, one of the best ways to create a shield, that's what you're talking about, right? Is doing pranayamas. Is when after you do the asanas, you do breath work. Because the prana is the vital energy field. And the more that you expand your field, the more protected and solid that shield is. And that energy of people cannot penetrate. And then we have Reiki, that we also, can do altar Reiki. And honestly, I mean, yoga is non-religious, and we're going to move to that lecture in a second. But it has a lot of, religion component, although anyone of any religion can practice yoga. But the power of prayer is just an incredible shield, right? You just call your guardians and you just really feel it on your heart, and you're going to get goosebumps. You're going to, out of the sun, you have all your grandparents and all the angels and archangels and the whole divine army behind you. And that's it. No one will be able to touch you because you are, with everyone protected. And it's just like that, But again, all this stuff is from the heart. It cannot be from the mind, when the mind doesn't have that connection. So the mind should be purified enough, which happens with the sadhana. So the practice is to us to have some discipline, some commitment. Now I'm not going to drink, now I'm going to eat, I'm going to practice, I'm not going to go out, now just bad association, I'm just stay reading the Bhagavad Gita, right? So the mind needs to be purified to become our friend, not our enemy. And then when you are doing the correct practices for your well-being, then this practice comes from the heart center. So yeah, the whole idea is also, to enter a state of wellness as well. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Again, sadhana can be anything that it comes from the heart. Asanas, pranayama, meditation. Maybe one day you're very tired, jet lag, you didn't sleep for 3 days, and you're just going to do some reading as your offering. That's fine, but it's a daily thing. It cannot be, It's almost like one day you're grateful, and the other day I don't know, Carlos. I'm trying not to do it. But you see what I'm saying? One day, like, I love everything, thank you God, and the other day, then, so the sadhana it gotta be every day, thank you for everything. Every day, thank you for your knowledge. Every day, I appreciate all the experience, right? That's what builds us up on this spiritual journey. Okay, so the next one is the journal. The journal, again, is individual for you, but we recommend you to write, especially after your practice, after your sadhana. You can, just write. How do you feel? Did you have any visions? Anything came to your mind? Maybe, some insights. Actually, lately I've been doing that at the very beginning. Like I wake up and I have the urge to write. Again, just go with the flow with your sadhana. But it's a way of meditation as well. And you can scan your body. Okay, I wake up, and that's also another thing that we gotta just say it. Not every day you're going to be like, oh, let's go to the training. One day you will wake up like, I gotta go to the training. But, please don't project into me. I mean, we are just very much condensing a lot of information in 1 month. So it is a little bit, overwhelming sometimes. But just put it on your journal. I woke up angry. I don't know why, but I don't know. So it's almost like it's a kind of therapy, You just vomit all your emotions into the pen and paper, and actually it feels much better afterwards. But just write that, how you feel, again, anything about your practice. Emotions are great to write them because you can see how crazy they are. In the morning you were happy, and in the end of the day you were mad. It's just like, how is that, happening? So it becomes like a mirror, like a self-reflection of your own turbulences of the mind. Also in your journal, you're going to do a food log of everything that you consume. And again, yoga is a path of self-awareness. So the more aware that we are, the more, deep into the practice that will be. So, all of a sudden, you are driving with your friend and your friend just offers you a gummy. And you're like, oh, sure, thank you. Or a mint. And you're like, no problem, take you one. Full of aspartame, full of cancer. You just write that in your log. So, we should have a moment of self-reflection of everything. Because that's when we start becoming more aware and less reactive. So, this is talking about refined sugars, and I'm one of them, like I love sweets. We're going to learn some vegan recipes of superfoods that are sweets. But let's say you want to have a chocolate and it's not so healthy, and maybe one chocolate, so that one chocolate. All of a sudden you have a hormonal, emotional, whatever, and then you have 7 chocolates. So you just put in your body 20 spoons of full white cocaine sugar that, of course, that is going to not be into your higher self. So, but as you start being very honest, because it's your diary, it's your journal, no one is going to read it, only you. Then you can realize, oh, last week I had 5, but now I have 1. You can have a little bit of, again, when we come to that, this is forbidden, this is okay, that's dogma, which we were talking about religion, so we don't want to be in that, we need to have some chocolate, but you know what I mean? Like, yogis, usually they don't drink alcohol because we are trying to purify ourselves, purify the body, purify the mind, purify the speech. I have something in my speech, or you might want to help me, but you see, so it is a lifelong process of purification. So what is, people come and do hot yoga and do sweating, and they leave, well, God forbid, some yoga events, they just have alcohol right away. Why? What is the purpose, We gotta keep that toddler awake. Why? You know what I mean? Because there's no purpose. So again, we don't drink. I mean, if you want to have a glass of wine, your tantra romantic night, once in a blue moon, someone's wedding, cheers. Of course, you're not going to be causing, maybe a violence to your friend situation, but it's not like we drink every day or every weekend. That doesn't. But if you do, you just write it down because it's different to have half a glass of a red wine or something than having, 5. And this happened the other day with my friend. Oh my God, we went to do Panchakarma. I mean, Ayurveda doctor school. It's forever student myself. And then she's an incredible yogi, and she was like, oh yeah, I went out yesterday and I have a little bit of wine. I'm like, yeah, 5 glasses. I'm like, what?
A little bit of wine.
I will not even find my car if I have 5 glasses. I will be like crying,
It's all about.
Exactly. So like a little bit of, we're going to study the Ashtanga Yoga Brahmacharya, but again, no dogma, but journal, okay, have a little bit of wine, but you don't need to have a lot of the things that are not good for you. What takes us to the third one, which is our dietary lifestyle requirements during this training. So we'll ask you to have an experiment for this 30 days to try to go as vegan as possible, okay? So no meat, no chicken, no fish, no alcohol, well, that's clear as water, I hope. One that is tricky is no coffee. Now the coffee is also kind of like a cocaine, because it stimulates you, right? And again, having a little bit of espresso in the morning, of course, I'm with you, I love coffee myself, and it feels good, I'm ready to go.
And doesn't say no coffee.
This is an old book.
It doesn't say no coffee.
It's not a book.
I have a little
Yerba
tip.
mate? Yerba mate?
Yeah, so again, my opinion with this thing is like, okay, having espresso in the morning is not harmful, let's say. But in America, they drink coffee all day long.
Yes.
Maybe not you, but most people. And they drink big cup. So what happens? You create an addiction. And yoga is about purity, it's about freedom. You cannot be codependent of nothing, right? So, what I will suggest to you, again, I'm not going to know this, but maybe go 2 days without coffee, 1 day, okay, coffee, 3 days without, 1 day with, you know. But the idea is for you to realize that you don't have an addiction to coffee. Okay, if you have a lot of coffee now, if you stop, you will have a withdrawal symptoms. You will have headache. You might want to slap me. You might. Please don't. I know jiu-jitsu. I'm joking. But you know, you might get moody. You might get upset. And that's all withdrawal. It does no difference than heroin and other drugs. I mean, it isn't. Now, yeah, I always give you the way to cheat because, you know, I'm not my master. But so how you going to teach? You're going to cheat with like green tea. You can cheat with that. It also has caffeine, but it's not, so it is actually alkaline because it's green, maybe some chai, maca. So slowly trying to play with it, you know, it didn't have coffee, you have a maca. Also has caffeine actually, but maybe not so harmful. The coffee pulls, sorry, my English is dehydrate, how do you say?
Dehydrates.
Yeah, dehydrates. The coffee dehydrates, and then it can, you know, long term cause you like osteoporosis, you know, kind of arthritis. So again, you know, it's just an experiment for you for this 30 days. Can you be in control of your tongue? This is like a devil. It's like has a personality on his own.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right? So you want to be your master, and it's very empowering when you are in command, when you are in control. So it's a test. It's all it is. Again, when you go back to normal life, a little coffee in the morning to wake up your senses is not so bad. Not having coffee during the day. We have someone that came for Ayurveda, and she was all, you know, shaking and jiggly, and beautiful girl from Brazil. She will have espresso at 9 p.m. Now in Italy and Argentina, they have espresso maybe after dinner, maybe they have a late dinner, but then she couldn't sleep and she couldn't even think straight. So that's, you know, you see what I'm saying. So just give yourself some time. You know, if you smoke cannabis, trying to not smoke, you know, again, just a time of purification and controlling your senses, and see who is the boss. Is that you or is the addiction? Can you be free of any accessories or not? Right? And then you will go. 30 days is not going to kill anyone, I promise. About the diet, we're going to be sharing some vegan recipes. In Ayurveda, they use dairy. In America, it's very hard to use dairy because having dairy is like killing the cow itself because they are in slaughterhouses. Unless you do tapas, which is sacrifice, and you create a schedule when you're going to drive to the farmer's market and buy the milk that is, you know, hand pulled without hurting the cow, or maybe an Amish family or something. But again, it's not going to be in Publix, near Whole Foods, so you gotta find a farmer that will actually.
The Coconut Grove one on Saturdays.
Yeah.
They have that one.
Yeah.
It even says like not for human consumption because they have to legally put that, but it is so good.
It is, I've been on it.
Yes. Yeah. But also, but nowadays you have hemp milk, almond milk, coconut milk, rice milk, you know. The cheese sometimes is like, right? But no cheese, no eggs. I know amount of protein has many sources of protein that we can get from quinoa, black beans, lentils. When you combine also with some carbohydrates, like rice and lentils, that's protein, for example. You know, but the eggs. First of all, they're high cholesterol. Second of all, one of the things about the eggs is that it's very low energetically because you are eating a woman's period in a way. You know, that's exactly what it is. It's an unfertilized egg. You know, women shed an egg every month. So if you get the unfertilized egg of the chicken, that is the egg that we're having. So, you know, That's why they don't recommend eggs. Again, I will, just tell you just to try for 30 days. Going forward, I know a lot of yogis that have incorporated eggs back into the diet, including myself. I've been vegetarian since when I started that first class. The first month I quit meat. After 2 months I quit chicken. After 1 year I quit fish. Fish was harder. It was like, it's so nice and fresh and what? But it's full of mercury, and it's also very horrible the way they die. Like, is low. Imagine you are, this will resonate. You are in the gas camera, watching your whole family die.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's how a fish die. Because asphyxiate, looking your daughters and your son and your husband die together. That's how this is, and they have soul. So you don't want to promote that. Again, exceptions to these rules about the fish and the meat is always about ahimsa. This is the first rule. That's another thing that you need to insert on your new software, is that it's a vow that you make. And the vow is that you are not going to cause violence and suffering to other creatures, other beings. That's it. Now, that's why we don't eat animals, because we love the animals. Actually, like I told you, it hit me. The meat was so easy because I grew up in a farm in Brazil. I had 25 horses, chicken, a very meat duck that will run out after me. And for a long time, we didn't have neighbors. I didn't have human neighbors until I was 8. So the animals were my friends. So when someone told me about well, why do you eat meat? Don't you love animals? It was almost like a thunderbolt, like boom. What? It's true. I love animals. So why are you hurting them? Like, I don't know. My family's from Argentina. They eat meat like crazy. So, but that was like one of those self-realizations.
Right.
It was so like, this makes so much sense, right? Now the exceptions is when your own well-being is on the line. Because the violence, if you, let's say you are in the middle of Africa and you get sick, and then you're super sick, you're about to die, and then they take you to the tribe, right? And then the tribe has nothing, they're very poor, and they say, don't worry, we'll save you, we'll take care of you, trust us. Here is a mix of goat milk and buffalo blood. Mix it, drink. You're going to get better. You're going to say, no, I'm vegan. Let me just die. No, I'm going to say, give me. You're going to have that blood, and you're going to have that goat milk, and you're going to survive. And then after that, you go back to be vegan, and no problem, But it's the same in Alaska. Can I tell the Eskimos don't have sushi? They don't have kale. You know what I mean? They don't have avocados and pineapples. We do. They don't. So it would be unnatural to tell them to not feed their family when they're in the middle of ice and all they have is that sushi fish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the idea is to have conscious decisions. So you need to always know what is the source of everything. What is the source of the knowledge, and where does this come from? Because a lot of people eat meat thinking they have protein. The meat needs to be raw. You need to be like a little vampire. It gotta be bloody. Otherwise, it doesn't have 0 protein. So you don't have any protein. 0 protein. It's a myth. It has a big mafia. The owners of the farmers, they're the owners of Monsanto, the owners of the farm company, is all together. They're all. So yeah, ask yourself those questions. If you are somewhere in the beach, and again they maybe catch a fresh fish right there, and the fish didn't even suffer, kill it very quickly. Okay, and you're in the middle of the Amazon River, I don't know. But here in the city, you don't really need it. I mean, you have so many options. So, we want to be more conscious, more compassionate, and gravitate more and more into those type of choices. Yeah.
Well, I have a question, because I was vegetarian from the age of 16 to a year ago, and vegan in between, raw food in between,
Yeah, me too.
everything. And I started eating bone broth, and then chicken livers, and then meat again, and chicken, because I really felt like my teeth, basically. I had 4 extractions in 1 year, and I started doing a lot of research on Weston Price, but anyway, so at this point I'm confused about it all. So like I hear everything, and it's so funny because 2 years ago I would have been sitting here like, no problem, like that's me already, and I've always been organic, whatnot, and so I was just talking to her about, the meat thing though, to definitely go and source the farms that, that's become clear for me. Even though I do organic grass-fed, I still don't trust from the store. But I just want to say this, so I'm not sure. After 30 days, I can probably do it, because I'm so used to it from the past. But I don't know for me for the long term.
Yeah.
And even with menopause and everything, I just felt like my body was even, there was no muscle.
Yeah.
I just didn't have muscle.
Right.
So,
No, it's something definitely that is important to be very aware and watch. Like I was saying, I start incorporating sometimes eggs because of that reason. And the thing about the meat is the meat is just so bloody, It's like if you, maybe I would say do some chicken or fish, that is again coming from a farm and trying to have as humane as possible. But it has, of course, the non-violence is the whole rule here. So if you are anemic, and I had a friend that she was super skinny, and she was iron depleted. I even told her you might need to do some change on your diet, perhaps. But honestly, if you know a lot of nutrition and you know how to combine the foods to have the protein intake that you need daily, then you shouldn't either be depleted, because we also have vegan bodybuilders and people like that are completely healthy, and we have friends that are vegan since the womb, and their children are vegan, they're all healthy and fine. I think it has a mistaken about raw is not that healthy, for example. It looks like it's healthy, but it can be tricky because we're not supposed to have everything raw. It may sometimes you don't digest, therefore you don't absorb the nutrients very good. So in Ayurveda we learn about the combinations. Like I said, if you combine mung beans with rice, that's pure protein. Just the mung beans without the rice is not protein. So you see, you have combinations that definitely are enhancing that protein intake that we need, and of course supplements and like that. But again, that would be also like a little bit of an individual path, and in Ayurveda they might also, even said if you have some situation that you might need to do some animal consumption, it might be needed, but hopefully not so often, Again, try not to be fanatic about it. We have a school in New York, which is one of the schools that my first teacher, Jivamukti school, and if you're not vegan, you cannot enter the school. Like they're very on top of that, because if you, are saying that you pledge compassion, love, to peace to all, how come you are paying someone to torture an animal to have that in your plate, which you don't really need it unless you have a special condition, you may be pregnant, you may be going through menopause, you maybe have iron deficiency, you have something that is needed. But that's, not so common.
So I have a question,
Mhm.
and you can tell me if you don't want to do it now, but how do we draw the line between the soul of an animal and the soul of a vegetable? Well, we don't see
No,
souls
yeah,
in
yeah,
vegetables.
that's another
So we
funny.
don't have to do it now, but I mean, for me, that's real.
No, yeah, no, it's not it's different because the animal has nervous system.
It's
And
got balls.
yeah, the animal
So
has
that's
nervous system and the
yeah.
vegetable kingdom has not nervous system. So if you put the leg of a pig and you get a knife and pakata, the pig is going to scream, is going to tear, is going to cry. If you pick a flower from the plant, you ask permission. Excuse me, can I take a cucumber? Can I take a flower? And she gives it to you, and then she grows one again. Grows another one, comes up. So it's different. They don't suffer in that way. Of course, that you gotta have your permission for it. So it is different. They don't feel pain. Animals feel pain. Pain like you feel pain. The plants, unless you're violent with them, they shouldn't feel like that. Okay? You can always grow another one. Okay, so then we have some homework. I will give every day a little bit. You don't need to give me the homework every day, but I would recommend you to do the homework each 2-3 days. Like if I give a homework today, don't take a week to do it because the homework is for the classes that we're talking today, and that will help you to have more questions and go deeper into the subject. In the end of the training, I will ask your homework, your notebook, and I want to see all the homework done, just like in school. And we'll have a reading and practical test. You have a few chances to do the reading test. It's not multiple choice. You will need to know all the answers to be wonderful teachers, but you will have another chance if you miss 5 questions. Then I will say, okay, you missed this 5, let me give you the answer again, you understand why, 1 step, and then the next day you come and you will do the 5 that you mistake. So you can say you got 100%. So it will be very easy, But again, you need to know. Then Karma Yoga is some help around the studio. In this first instance, like we'll ask you, okay, one day one of you guys will clean the floor. Another day, maybe one of you guys will bring cookies. Another day, one of you guys will maybe wash the towels. Someone can water the plants, especially in the summer. They're always like, oh, it's so hot. So Karma Yoga is a selfless service. Something that you're going to do out of your heart just to help the community. So first you're going to do around our family here, right? Just helping each other, like yesterday I had a few of my past grads, which now are teachers in the school, and they, cook for everyone. I cook, they cook. They stay until 10:30 p.m. cleaning, so we help each other. But then we're going to do Karma Yoga outside the school. So that would be a homework as well that I can suggest. We have a cleanup group, so we can do a beach cleanup. Maybe you want to have a beautiful beach for you to swim, you can do that. We have Lotus shelter for single mothers in downtown, so we can maybe offer a class there. Last year also they had a group of victims of sexual slavery, and we taught them by Zoom for free. This is all Karma Yoga, we just help them. We also have a contact to teach in jail. You need to receive some sort of a training to enter, there, but they definitely will so much appreciate some insights during the time they're there and find that freedom within that space. So that's super, they need so much help, so we can set up and you guys can decide what is the Karma Yoga that you want to do. Again, must be from your heart. One of my best students 3 years ago, she did such a neat thing. I thought it was so cute. She put together kind of kit, no? And in this kit we'll have like 2 t-shirts, 2 underwears, toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, some like protein bars and things like that. And so she will go around with her bicycle dropping to the homeless in the street.
That's so sweet.
That was her karma yoga. And she documented, you know, because it was part of the homework, but she really felt that, you know, and so she shared with us, you know, so some of the homeless were so grateful because they're invisible to society, you know. Imagine you are a lawyer and you have 5 kids and you pay $1,000 in rent, and then here comes your greedy landlord and put the rent for $3,000, and you have 4 kids, and then you can't, and you're a lawyer, you're a mechanic, and now you're homeless, you know? And your kids are taken away from you and you lost your sanity because, you know, and so much pain, right? And then you just disappear of everyone, you know? So having someone saying, hey, I'm here for you, here's some clean clothes and a towel, and let me go ahead and give you some rice and beans and plantains to you. You know, that would be so nice. And it's literally like $10, you know, you can gather all that. So it has so many different karma yogas that you can do, you know. So we can start here, and then you can share in the group something that you want to do. And then that's my favorite one, no complaining. So no complaining in the, you know, internal or external. But the complaining is always like a negation of the ego, like a resistance. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm too tired. That is just not welcome to this spiritual energy, you know? Because if you're complaining, that means that you're just not grateful. That's it, right? If you're complaining that, oh, my arms are so tired, I don't want to do this again. Well, you have 2 arms. You know how people have no arms, no legs, no hands? So, you know, complaining is something that we don't want to do. Now, as a way to acknowledge whatever is happening, and probably should best for this, that means without being in a negation. Because again, we're here to train ourselves and also train the mind. And the mind, yoga, basically is a psychological work. Yoga is about the mind, because the mind is what's going to move this body here. So you can instead say, oh, another push-up, you're internally thinking. Also, I can hear your thoughts, by the way. You will, I can't help myself. But it will be like, again, my arms are dying, you know, I can hear this. And you can rephrase and you can say, I'm developing my arms. You say, so instead say, I'm tired, I cannot do this, I'm sick, I had enough, like all those negative patterns, you can train the mind to maybe acknowledge without suppressing, but in a more neutral, positive way. So try to catch yourself before you just launch a complaint. And again, whatever is happening in your private life, work life, from that door, out. Okay, like, yeah, you can't bring, you know, you had a fight with your boyfriend, out of the sudden you're all hysterical here, or you had a fight with your boss and you're all tense. You just need to take a moment and release, you know, it's like this. So, yeah, try to just shift to, you know, being more receptive, being grateful that you have this opportunity to put your body into this type of transformation in the mind. And we tend to complain, you know, it's like the ego has a tendency for that, you know, to criticize, to like, and I had a friend from New York, she, a yoga teacher, which surprisingly, and she was always complaining. She was always complaining. Oh, it's so hot, my God, the summer, Miami, I miss New York. And I'm like, well, we just can't go back to New York then. I know, I like the beach. And then she was like, oh, it's raining all all the time. I can't stand it raining all the time, the hurricane. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, life is like this. And one time I told her, look, I can no longer be your friend. Just like that. And she was all like, when you complain all the time. Like, you don't just see things to be happy about, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was like this. I just no longer friends with her. Not that I have anything bad with her. Hello, goodbye, no problem. But to be around someone like winding down, no. So we wanted to polish that on us. Again, I'm also a work in process, you know. Like I obviously speak from my own experience, you know. But is that pause when you catch yourself before you get that complaint? And then that's when the yoga starts really making an effect. Otherwise, we can just go to CrossFit and that's it. So, you know, it's the mind that we need to work on the yoga mat. Mind, the heart. So, and not taking things personally. Again, I've been doing these trainings now for almost 10 years. And I'm not like an autopilot myself. You know, move your feet to the right, move your feet to the right. Move your feet to the right. No, it's not personal. You just, maybe you're having lack of attention, maybe you're stressed, you're not going to hear me well. But I'm going to repeat things over and over and over and over again until you get yourself, you know, understanding the whys of the alignment or this and that. But I'm not picking in anyone. I'm not here to create any friction with anyone. I just want you to be excellent teachers, and you know, teachers going to be correcting you. Please don't be sensitive about it. There's no need. You know, the idea here is for us to create a strong bond, friendship, family-like, so we can just be like family. And just like you have brothers and sisters, one day you're so loving, and sometimes you're like, I don't want to talk to you. But again, let's try to minimize the ups and downs of the emotions. And taking things too personally, that means that your ego is active, right? That your ego is the one getting offensive. Oh, why me? And why to me? So, you know, just put those things aside. So, that's it for that. We'll be asking you to maybe come to assist or observe some classes towards the end of the training for you to get more soak with other teachers. You know, what did they say about the meditation? What did they say about, you know, the opening sequence or something like that? Okay? All right, so let's continue. Now we're on page 9. Let me just maybe stop this video and then we'll make a new one for the new chapter. Wow.